Welcome and thank you for standing by. At this time, all participants are in listen-only mode. Today's webinar is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. I would now like to turn the call over to your host, Deb Rivera. Deb, the floor is yours.
Great, thank you so much. Well, good afternoon and welcome. I hope everyone is having a great day today. My name is Deb Rivera, and I will be the host for today's webinar, An Introduction and Getting Started on data.census.gov. Today, you will learn the basics on how to get started with your census data search on the search platform data.census.gov. For this webinar, I am joined by my colleagues, and we will be providing support to our speaker by monitoring the chat to send you helpful links that are related to today's webinar and also answer as many questions as we can. We are encouraging participants to use the Q&A panel in WebEx to submit questions and look to the chat panel for links and other helpful information. We will have a live Q&A session towards the end of the webinar. We are allowing one question per participant. Participants who would like to ask a question are welcome to use the raise hand icon, which appears next to your name in WebEx, and that will prompt us to open your line. You'll then need to unmute yourself to ask your question. Please note that the Q&A session today will focus on the platform data.census.gov. We will not be able to go in depth to address questions on 2020 census products or data. As always, we are recording the webinar today, and all of the materials for this training will be available through the Census Academy website. Thank you so much for joining us today. Now I'd like to turn our presentation over to Tyson Weister. Thank you, Tyson.
Thanks, Deb, and thank you all so much for joining the webinar, An Introduction and Getting Started on data.census.gov. My name's Tyson Weister. I work on the communications team for data.census.gov. What we primarily have planned for you today is a live demonstration that's going to show you how to use the site, walking through different search strategies and where to get started and different functionality. Along the way, we'll touch on some common questions and answers to those questions as we're going along. Before we transition to your questions at the end, we'll talk about the latest feedback for the site, ways to stay in touch, and resources for you to learn more. Before we get into the live demonstration today, I want to make sure we're all clear what is data.census.gov. It is the primary platform to access Census Bureau data. We've been the primary platform for about 3 years now. What this means is you can access the most popular information about America's people, housing, and businesses on our site. These data are going to come from the most popular surveys and programs we have at the Census Bureau. It includes decennial census data back to the 2000 census, American Community Survey data back to 2010, economic census and selected surveys back to 2012. And then we are also working to onboard as many surveys and programs as we can from the Census Bureau so you can access the data all in one place. At this point, we have some limited tables from the Population Estimates program as one example of that, but we're definitely working on expanding that throughout the Census Bureau. With that in mind, if you'd like to access the most detailed listing of our data sets, individual tables, and availability by year, if you visit the link on the right, you can access that detailed listing. So with that background, let's go ahead and transition into the live demonstration today. My goal is for everyone on the call to walk out with a few things. We want to make sure that you're comfortable knowing how to get started using data.census.gov. Also, you'll be able to use the single search bar and the advanced search filters. You'll know how to customize your table view and save your results. With that in mind, we wanted to start out with ways to go about searching. So there's a single search bar right when you get to the landing page. This is going to work well to type in individual topic, geography, year, table IDs, or codes such as industry NAICS codes. We're going to start with this search pathway at the beginning. In our examples today, you can see there are 4 different sets of examples we're going through. Right now, what we're going to work is the single search in bold, where we'll also cover some tips to get started on the site. So we're going to walk through 3 quick examples of the single search bar. I'm going to show you population total in Indiana, 2020 decennial census tables for Allen County, Indiana, and a geography profile for Fort Wayne, Indiana. After we do that single search, we'll show you more precise and complex ways to go about searching and additional functionality on the site. But for now, let's start simple and show you the single search bar. Navigating to the live site here, I'm going to pull up Google Chrome. I'm going to type in data.census.gov in the address bar at the top. This will take us to the landing page. And right when you get there is where you're going to see that single search bar. Again, this is a great starting point to see if you can find a quick answer to your question by typing in keywords. Here, I'm going to type in population total in Indiana. Again, population total in Indiana, topic, and a geography. You can press the enter button on your keyboard or click the magnifying glass on the right in order to run that search. When you run your search, please keep in mind we're making our one best guess for what we think you mean in that search. I like to advise people to look in the upper left at the filters. So you can see the site has found a match for two filters, population total as a topic and Indiana as a geography. Exactly what I would expect. If you'd like to learn more about the different categories of filters, you can click the question mark icon here. We're going to talk more about filters in a moment. For now, I want to look at these results in a little more detail. Right off the bat, the site's giving us the answer to the question that we asked for. The total population in Indiana is 6,785,528 based on the 2020 decennial census. Right now on the All Results tab, you can scroll down and it will provide some of the top table recommendations, the corresponding map recommendations for each of those tables, and some of the popular web pages that we have on census.gov related to this search criteria. We're going to spend the majority of today looking at the tables section, so I'm going to click the Tables tab at the top. You can click these different tabs in order to navigate between the different sections of the site, and whichever one you're actively clicked into, you'll see the orange bar underneath. From here, you can see there are 733 table results on this topic. Not surprising that the Census Bureau has a lot of data about population total and different ways to look at it. You can click the items on the left-hand side in order to update the table that you're seeing on the right-hand side of your screen. And as you scroll through, what we're going to see are the first 10 table recommendations in this list. We can page through to access the additional 733 tables. You can also click the View option at the top and change it from 10 to 25 or 50 if you'd like to browse this list and skim through the results a little more quickly. We're not going to take a deep dive at this point in time. I did want to point out on a high level just what's kind of being pulled from these table results. You can see the first table is giving us that same number in a table format that we saw on the All Results page for total population, as well as some more detailed information related to population. That comes from the decennial census. Our second table result comes from the Population Estimates Program. And the third table result coming from the American Community Survey. Again, as you click the table ID or the table title, you'll see the information updated on the right-hand side of your screen. I want to show you additional types of search criteria that are helpful to enter into the single search bar. Here I'm going to click into the single search bar and replace the text with my next example search, 2020 decennial census in Allen County, IN, and press enter. Once you press enter, the site is going to run that new search criteria. This example showcases additional types of search text that you might want to consider. For example, you can see in the upper left, we found a match for the year 2020. We found a match for geography at the county level in this example, Allen County, Indiana, and a match for the program decennial census. With that quick search text, we were able to narrow down our results from the more than 5,000 tables we have on our site to the 6 tables that are currently available from the 2020 decennial census. Again, not going to take a deep dive, but just showing you how to get to table results pretty quickly. Moving on to our last example, we'll click the US Census logo in the upper left. I want to show you a product if you are feeling overwhelmed with the number of table results you're getting, or if you're just not sure what the Census Bureau has to offer or where to start. Our geography profiles are going to be a great product for you to take a look at. So in this example, I'm going to type in my geography, Fort Wayne, comma, IN, and press enter. Now, these geography profiles are available for the US, state, your city, towns, counties, zip code areas, congressional districts, American Indian, Alaska Native areas, and Hawaiian homelands. Anytime you've searched a single one of those geographies, here we found a match for one geography in the upper left. When you're on the All Results page, on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see a map of that area and something that says View Profile, Fort Wayne City, Indiana Profile. So you can click the Map, Text, or View Profile link in order to open up that profile and take a look at a collection of some of this most popular data. Right off the bat, we'll get a little bit of information about the geography at the top, and then it's pulling the data in real time. Here it's giving you a collection of the most popular data people come to the Census Bureau for. It gives you total population for the city, median household income, percent bachelor's degree or higher, employment rate, total housing units, percent without health insurance coverage, and more. As you scroll through, you'll see additional information. So our first example in populations and people, age and sex, we can see median age in the city is less than median age in the state, and then more detailed information in the bar chart below. So you'll have visual information in a bar chart, line chart, or potentially on the map to the right-hand side. What I'm showing right now, there's over 40 sections of this throughout the profile across all the topics that the Census Bureau has. As an example, we can see data on ancestry, language spoken at home, native and foreign born, older population, people who've moved in the past year, veterans, and much more. At the top of the screen, also wanted to point out you can continue to scroll through this profile, or if you click a word or phrase in the tabs at the top, it will jump you to that section of the profile if there's a particular area of interest that you'd like to explore further. Here I've clicked at the top where it says health, and there's a few different options to browse through for health. I'm just going to take a quick look at the health insurance section. Notice health insurance in the city, 10.1% is uninsured versus uninsured for the state. So besides using these profiles to browse the topics available, they cut across different surveys and programs. You can see the source statement, this particular data values coming from the 2021 American Community Survey one-year estimates. You'll also see data from decennial census and economic surveys and programs in this one view. The other reason I like the profiles is that you're just one click away from more detailed information on this topic. So let's say I want to take a little bit of a deeper dive into health insurance. I can click the S2701, that's the table that this data value comes from. And it's going to take me out of the tables we have on our site to just that one table. As it's loading, it's pulling this data in real time. It's going to recognize my geography selection, Fort Wayne City, Indiana. And I want to take a moment at this point to really take a view of the table. You'll want to pay attention at the top, the survey and program the data comes from, American Community Survey. S2701, that's your table ID. Selected characteristics of health insurance coverage in the United States is the table title. There's a product drop-down menu. This allows you to switch between 1 and 5-year estimates. We'll talk more about that later, as well as navigate to historical data back to 2010, potentially in this case. And then from here, you'll want to pay attention to the columns and rows of your table. So we see Fort Wayne City, Indiana in the first column. And then within that, there's a set of columns. The first one gives us information for total population, the number of people with health insurance, the corresponding percent with health insurance, the total number of people without health insurance, and then the final column is the percent without health insurance. This is the same 10.1% that we saw in the geography profile. It's just here in a table view. However, notice how much more detail this table offers. If you look to the left-hand side, let's say you want to study the uninsured population in the city a little bit more. Maybe you want to know what this looks like broken out by different demographics, such as different age ranges, male versus female, uninsured population by race and Hispanic origin, all kinds of great information just in this one table. So hopefully you've seen the value in those profiles, both in and of itself and being able to click for a table. As we transition throughout the demo, wanted to show you additional ways to search on the site. So the single search bar is a great starting point to see if you can find a quick answer to your question. There is an additional way for you to search called advanced search or filters. We use those words interchangeably. I love the advanced search because it's a guided approach. It's most precise. I don't have to come up with my own words and phrases to select my search criteria. What we're going to be doing are clicking through words and phrases that interest us and find a checkbox as a final search selection. And finally, the last benefit is the advanced search gives you access to all detailed search options on our site, including the full set of geographies such as census tracts or block groups. For our first example with the filters, just to show you how easy they are to use, I'm going to show you the percent without health insurance across 3 geographies: Florida, Jacksonville, and zip code tabulation area 32202. In this example, we're going to be pulling up a table and comparing the data across all 3 geographies. Going back to the live site, we'll click the US Census logo in the upper left. That's going to take you fresh at the landing page. And directly under the single search bar, you'll see the phrase advanced search. So you'll want to click the advanced search link. On the left-hand side, you'll see the phrase find a filter. What we're going to be doing is clicking through these primary categories on the left-hand side, looking for areas that interest us, and ultimately clicking checkboxes as our final selection. You can start with whatever you think's most important. Often that will be your geography. So I'm going to click geography on the left. We have over 200 levels of geography to choose from at the Census Bureau. To make it easy for you, we've pulled out the 9 most commonly used geographies and put them on these boxes at the top. So we're going to be working with those today. If you're looking for more detailed geographies, there's an alphabetized list of all geographies included below. For now, let's go ahead and select our state, Florida. I'll click the box that says state, then find the checkbox for Florida. Checkbox, click the checkbox and look in the upper left is that final selection, Florida. Now to go back to the main geography page, I'm going to click geography on the left. That starts us fresh from the geography page. And now we want Jacksonville. So at the Census Bureau, city and towns are typically classified as place. We're going to talk more about this at the end of the exercise. For now, we'll go ahead and click the place option. From here, we'll follow the prompts, choose Florida. Then we're going to get a list of every place in Florida. Now, this is an alphabetized list to make it easy if you'd like to scroll down and select Jacksonville through that method. There's also an easy to use search box at the top of this panel. It says search place. I can click and start typing in Jacksonville. This is going to narrow the results down to just the options in that one panel that match the text I put in. So it's looking for Jacksonville just in the list of places in Florida. Once you type that in, you do need to make sure to select the checkbox as well in order to make that final search selection as a filter in the upper left. Want to point out an additional way to navigate backwards through the panel. At the top, there is an arrow. You can click the arrow. Each time you click it, it's going to take you back one step or one click in the panel. So if I click it twice, it's going to take me all the way back to the main geography page. I think you'll find both of those methods handy in order to navigate backwards through the panel. Last thing we wanted to do was select the zip code area 32202. Here I'll click zip code tabulation area. If you're looking for demographic data, this is the one you would want to use, and we call it out in the most common geography selection to help you get to it more easily. We'll click Florida. And again, we're going to get that list of all zip code areas. I'm going to click at the top and type in 32202 and make sure to mark the checkbox in order to make that final search selection. So we have our 3 geographies. Last thing I'll do is specify my topic for health insurance. On the left, we'll click Topics, choose the folder for health, and then click the checkbox. I'm going to choose the one that says health insurance. There may be times where you see more than one checkbox that seems relevant, and we recommend making your first best guess and going with it. Choose just one of them. On the upper left, we have our 3 geographies and our topic. We'll go ahead and click Search in the lower right in order to run it. Then I'm going to choose Tables at the top. There are 87 table results that match our search criteria. We're going to take a look at the first table result, but before we do that, I wanted to point out that these filter panels, there's a panel for filters and a panel for results. They're expandable and collapsible, so you'll see buttons on the left-hand side of your screen. If you'd like to devote more space on your screen to the table or map view, you can certainly collapse those panels. And if you'd like to use the content in the panels, you can click the buttons on the left in order to expand them back out. Looking at the table on the right, going to take a quick look here. In terms of our geographies, you can see Florida. As I scroll through on the right-hand side, we'll see our next geography, Jacksonville City, Florida. And as I scroll to the far right, we don't see any additional information. So even though I selected 3 geographies to include zip code area 32202, it's not appearing in the table display that I'm currently viewing. Wanted to point this out because we do get a lot of questions about this. Anytime you're having trouble seeing data for all of your geographies, please be mindful of the product that you're clicked into at the top. You can access it by clicking the product drop-down menu and making a change, or on the left-hand side where it says view all 20 products, you can click these options in order to switch between the different products. If you're not familiar already, ACS 5-year estimates provide data for all geographies down to the census tract and block group level, regardless of population size. So that's why we weren't seeing the zip code tabulation area when we were clicked into 1 year. When you change it to 5-year and scroll through the table, you will see that additional geography. So definitely recommend paying attention to that drop-down menu. We're going to talk more about that at the end. For now, we'll go ahead and proceed with this selection of 2020 ACS 5-year estimates subject tables. The last thing I wanted to do, we just looked at this table for Fort Wayne, Indiana. We now have it for 3 geographies that we've specified and searched through a topic selection in the filters. I'm just going to make some edits to the view. And we're going to be going through this step by step in just a moment. I just want to show you how you can conceptually use the site and clean up the view and look at the data. Let me adjust that here. So I'm going to type in % uninsured. All right, so here with those edits, again, we're going to go through those step by step. You can certainly view the data in its original format and scroll through the tables side by side, but just to give you a clean look of what can be done on the site is a nice side-by-side comparison of an individual estimate, such as the % without health insurance. We see it's 12.7 in Florida, 12 in Jacksonville City, and 18.1 in zip code area 32202. All right, so just to take a pause and review some of those common concepts and common questions that we get. One of those is, why does my table not show data for all of my geographies? Usually this is you're clicked into ACS 1 year and you need to change it to ACS 5 year. ACS 1 year estimates are available for geographies that have 65,000 people or more living in them. So if your geography does not meet that threshold, they would be available for 5 year, but not in 1 year. So please be mindful of that. This can also sometimes, if you're clicked into 1 year and you try to select the geography, you may not see the geography you want in the list. So the problem can present itself in two different ways. Go ahead and click in 5 year and see if it resolves your issue. Another common question we touched on is, how do I select my city or town? For most states across the country, you're going to be finding those in the place level geography. We did that in our example where we clicked geography and place. For a few states, primarily in the Northeast and Midwest, you may find what you think of as your city or town in the county subdivision geography level. So these are going to be towns, townships, and boroughs. At this point, for a basic course, what we recommend if you're not finding your selection in place, go ahead and give county subdivision a try to see if you can find your city or town in that geography area. Moving on to our next example, we wanted to showcase how to make the most of your search and also show you additional functionality you can do on the site to customize your table view, map your data, and save your results. For this example, we're going to show percent poverty from table DP03 for all census tracts in Spokane County, Washington. Now, even if you're not familiar with what census tracts are, we are going to show them briefly on a map visually, so don't worry about that part. Going back to the live site, here I'm going to click the US Census logo in the upper left. And I'm going to click into the single search bar. We pointed out on the table display where the table ID is located. Once you go through the steps to find that table ID, you can jot it down. And when you type that table ID in the single search bar at a later time and press enter, here I've typed in DP03, press enter, and then I'm going to click tables at the top. As you would guess, it takes you to that specific table. So rather than to search through a long list of tables, it's a great shortcut to get back to what you were looking at earlier. On the left-hand side, you can also add your geography selection through the filter. So this example is also showing you can use a combination of search methods, type something in the single search bar, and select a search criteria using the filters or advanced search. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to go ahead and select my geography, all census tracts in Spokane County. Click geography on the left. Choose the box census tract. Follow the prompts. Washington, Spokane County, Washington. And at this point, it's giving us each individual tract. You may need to scroll back up to the top in order to see the easy to use checkbox that lets you select all census tracts in the county in just one click. Last thing you'll want to do, click the X at the top of the panel in order to close out the panel and view the table on the right-hand side of your screen. So to take a look at the table, you can see American Community Survey DP03, selected economic characteristics. It's coming from the 2020 ACS 5-year estimates data profiles, and we only see ACS 5-year in the dropdown because census tracts are the only geography we've selected, and they are compatible with ACS 5-year. Looking at the columns of the table, we see our first geography, census tract 2.01. There's a column for the estimate, corresponding margin of error, third column for percent, and the fourth column, percent margin of error. As we scroll across, we see the data for our remaining census tracts side by side. And looking on the left, what we're interested in is the column for percent and the topic for poverty. So clicking the arrows, these sections of the table that are in all capital letters, employment status, commuting to work, occupation. As you scroll through, you'll see the section for poverty. Percentage of families and people whose income in the past 12 months is below the poverty level. I also want to point out, if you put your cursor at the very top row, click, hold, and drag, you can adjust the width of each of these columns. So this is the section of the table we're looking at. First, it gives us information for family poverty. And as you scroll down, you'll see poverty for all people. So moving to the right, we see, as an example, in our first census tract, 24.4% of the population live in poverty. So I want to see this across all census tracts. And I showed you earlier very briefly that you can adjust the columns in your table. I want to take a moment here to walk through the functionality on the top hand ribbon. First is the Notes button on the left. When you click Notes, you're going to get key source information, documentation, links to technical information and methodology. And also, as you scroll through, oftentimes if there's any special characters indicated in the table, for instance, this X, you'll be able to see what that means in the Notes section. So definitely recommend, if you have questions about what you're seeing, click the Notes button at the top. I'm not going to make any selections here, but just want to point out the filters are also accessible at the top hand ribbon of an individual table. So if I click geography, if I wanted to add additional geographies to this table, you can also make selections through these buttons at the top: geos, years, topics, surveys, and codes. Moving on to the Hide button, this allows you to customize the view of the table you're looking at. Specifically, it lets you hide columns of the table. So I'm going to go through this step by step to show you how you can just keep the column for percent. Here we're going to click Hide at the top. Rather than scroll through this long list and mark the checkboxes individually to keep what we want, I like to do these actions in bulk. So at the very top, you'll see a checkbox and a search box. And this is what you can use to apply those changes in bulk across all of your geographies. Looking at the left of search, if you click the checkbox, it's going to deselect all the columns and hide every column from your table across your geographies. Then you can click into the search box on the right, and then you'll want to type the column name that you want to keep. I know I want the column for percent, so I'm going to go ahead and type percent. Then mark the checkbox to the left of percent. That's going to show all of the columns in your table that contain the word percent. And then from here, if you'd like to turn off the margin of error, there is a button at the very top of the table in order to turn that on and off. So here I've turned that off to hide the columns. I'm going to click the Hide button once again. That's going to remove this right-hand panel from my view, and you can see a nice clean list of looking at percent poverty across your geographies as you go through. If I were to click the Restore button, it would take me to the default table view from when I first visited the table, with my geography selection included. And the last few buttons here, Excel, CSV, Zip, and Print, will allow you to save the results. I'm going to walk through these. If you want output that looks similar to what you're seeing on screen, you'll want to click the Excel button. That's the most popular option. CSV will also give you output that looks similar to what we're seeing on screen. I'm just going to show you one for the sake of time and click in the lower left to open up that Excel file. We're going to get a page that has information, source information, geography selection, a web address, and more you can drill into. What you'll likely be most interested in is the second tab that says Data. Notice the columns contain our geography selection. It also includes all the customizations that we made on the site. We're only getting the column for percent. And on the left-hand side, we're getting the same information in a readable format. The labels are indented and laid out in the same way that it was in the table display. So scrolling down here, we'll get to the poverty section, and we can see, as an example, we were looking at these data for the percent poverty. If you would like your output in a file format that's machine readable, you'll want to choose the zip file option at the top. So here I'm going to walk through zip. It will pop up with the different vintages. I'm going to leave the most recent selection and choose download.csv. It will load up to 100% in the lower right, and then you'll look to open up that zip file. Within the zip file, for each table you downloaded, there's going to be 3 files. What we're going to be looking for is the file that ends in data.csv. Here it's that middle option, data.csv. It just means that it has the data and the corresponding labels that go along with the data. Now, to orient you with the view of this output option, what you'll notice is it's really reverse of what we're seeing on screen. Each geography, rather than being in the column, it has its own row. As you follow the row across, you'll see all of the the estimates that you saw on data.census.gov without any special formatting or indentation. I'm going to scroll to the column for ANT just to show you how you read this output of what we were looking at earlier. Yep, it was this one, ANS. So percentage of families and people whose income in the past 12 months is below the poverty level, all people. That's the label that comes from the table. The very first row shows you DP03, that's the table ID. 0128 means it's the 128th row of data from the table, and PE means it's the percent estimate, E would be the estimate. And then within this column, we're seeing the same poverty data in a different format. If you wanted to work with this in your own software, this file option is very machine readable and easy to sort. Going back to the table display, wanted to point out as well the print option here. When you click print, it will give you a notification that's telling you it's going to show you just the first page of the table. What this means is that the print functionality is really optimized for a small table with the single geography. If you have a large number of geographies or looking at a large table, the information is going to be cut off. We're still working to optimize this print functionality. However, for now, if you would like to print when you use the Excel option, this file format is optimized for printing. So if you print the Excel, this means that you're going to get the labels. There's the full table. There's 264 pages. Your labels are going to repeat across the columns, and it's going to be readable for you. So that's a great print option for you if you're looking for print. The last way you can save your results is by copying the URL from your address bar. You can visit it later or share it with a colleague, and it will take you back to the same table and geography selection. And then as that's loading here, close out of that, want to show you just very briefly the final button called Map. You can click the Map button or the Maps tab at the top, either way. You do have the option to map any data value that you see in our tables. So our maps are table-based. It has zoomed us into the census tract level. We're going to reload this here. And then what you'll be doing just conceptually is choosing a data variable from the table. By default, it's just choosing the very first option. It's at the census tract level. But if you click the variables link in the upper left, I'm not going to walk through this in a lot of detail, but really just want to show you the functionality that our maps have to offer. We do have trainings if you'd like to take a deeper dive into mapping. You can choose that estimate from a table. The one we've been talking about is percentage of families and people whose income in the past 12 months is below the poverty level. All people, percent. These are organized in the same way the columns and rows were in the table. Once you choose your desired estimate, your map is going to update with that data in real time. And what we're seeing is a nice way to visually digest complex information. This shows us that the areas or census tracts in dark shades of blue have higher percent of their people living in poverty compared to the areas in lighter shade. If you're not familiar with what census tracts are, as you zoom in, you'll see street lines and street labels populate so you can make sense of these geographies. You can also click on an individual tract and see, as an example, in census tract 25.01, 54.2% of people in that tract live in poverty. right, moving on to our last example, what we showed so far are demographic tables from the American Community Survey, Population Estimates Program, and decennial census. We have information on businesses through our economic surveys and programs. Those tables tend to have a different layout, so I wanted to show you that layout and also show you unique search strategies for accessing these tables and more options that you can use to customize the results that you see in those tables to get the data you want and need. For this example, the business that we're going to focus on are rental car companies, and we're going to show the list of rental car companies across all counties in California. Going back to the live site, we'll click the US Census logo in the upper left. For our final search, we'll click the advanced search link once again. Now, I happen to know up front that the code I'm looking for my NAICS industry code is 532111. You may not always know that up front. You can use the filter panel on our site to explore the options that are available to you. We're going to walk through that process on the left-hand side under Find a Filter. Click Codes. We're going to choose Industry Codes, NAICS. And from here is where you can start exploring the categories. They start high level and get more detailed as you drill in. For us, we'll click 5.3, Real Estate and Rental and Leasing. Then we'll choose 5.3.2, Rental and Leasing Services. 5.3.2.1, Automotive Equipment Rental and Leasing. 5.3.2.1.1, Passenger Car Rental and Leasing. 5.3.2.1.1.1, Passenger Car Rental. Then 5.3.2.1.1.1, Passenger Car Rental. You'll want to make sure not only that you checked the folder, but also the individual checkbox in order to make that final selection. Once you mark it, you'll see in the upper left, it's a filter just like the others. Then on the left-hand side of the screen, we'll choose our geography. On the left, click Geography. We'll choose County, California, and all counties within California. Once you're happy, click the Search button in the lower right, then choose Tables at the top. So this shows us that there are 35 table results for our business of interest type, passenger car rental businesses in all counties in California. It gives us the most recent information on top. It comes from the 2020 County Business Patterns. It's an annual survey. And now let's take a deep look at the table. Notice the left-hand side, our geographies are in the rows. They're not in the columns like we've been looking at before. There's also multiple entries for some of these geographies. As you work your way across the table, each of these left-aligned columns, each unique combination of them results in a data row for your table. And then on the right-hand side, as you scroll through the table, for each of those unique combinations of categories, the site's going to tell you the total number of establishments, their annual payroll, first quarter payroll, and number of employees. On the bottom, notice there are 120 data rows in this table. Also notice as we're scrolling through on the left-hand side, our geography isn't pinned in view, so we kind of lose context of what we're looking at. You can choose to freeze any column that you want, or you can choose more than one column as well. So this is where I want to show you how you can condense some of the information from the table to narrow down to exactly what you're interested in without any additional information. If you'd like to pin a column in view, hover over the column, choose Pin Column and Pin Left, and as you scroll to the left and right, you'll notice that the geography remains in view. Another column that you'll see, Meaning of Employment Size of Establishment Code. This gives you data for all businesses or broken out by the number of employees they have. If you'd like to simplify this to just focus on the total rental car businesses, you can click the 3 horizontal bars, choose the filter icon, and then keep just the data rows in your table that you're interested in. So for this example, I like to do my selections in bulk. I'm going to click select all again to deselect, and then just choose all establishments. You can do it whatever way to keep the one checkbox that you want to keep. The most important thing is to click the apply button once you've made that update in order for that change to be impacted on the table. Once we click the button on the right-hand side, it's going to decrease from 120 data rows down to 36. As it's loading, this is going to result in one data row for each geography in our table. We've really narrowed down to the total businesses. As you scroll to the right, there are additional filter options for these numerical values that are right aligned. So when you click the 3 horizontal bars and choose the filter icon, you can filter by a certain criteria. Here I'm going to change from equals. I'm going to choose greater than or equals, but notice there are several options to choose from. And then you can type a value. It can be a text or numerical value depending on what you're looking at. Here I'm going to type 15. And notice as soon as I typed 15, it decreased the rows from 36 to 17. So that one is applying automatically. So what we're looking at are passenger car rental, counties that have 15 or more passenger car rental establishments. Last thing you can do, you can also click these numerical values in order to sort the table in ascending or descending order. All right, so before we start transitioning to your questions, wanted to talk about the latest feedback. What we've shown is the official way to access data from the Census Bureau. We continue to update our site based on feedback. So in order to submit feedback, just click the feedback link under the single search bar and shoot us an email to census.data@census.gov and tell us how we can make the site work better. We will continue to analyze, prioritize, develop, test, and release solutions based on the feedback that we receive. Thank you all so much for those of you who have submitted feedback so far. Just to give you an idea for the types of analysis that we do once we receive that feedback, this is just a quick screenshot showing the top 10 feedback categories that we received over a 13-month period. So this shows that either the questions or feedback that we receive each time someone sends us an email, we categorize that according to different areas, such as data availability, navigation, download, mapping, performance, filtering, look and feel, modifying tables, search relevancy, or export. Within each of those categories, there are also subcategories that we're using on our end to get a more detailed look as to what people are asking us questions about or commenting feedback about. All of this information helps us analyze improvements that we push out for the site and prioritize them. So for those of you that have contacted us, thank you so much. We appreciate answering your questions and the feedback that you have. If you'd like to stay up to date on the latest system enhancements based on user feedback, we encourage you to sign up for our data.census.gov newsletter. We'll also tell you about the latest data releases and educational opportunities for the site. Visit the link in the left to sign up. And at this point, we'll turn it over to Deb and start transitioning to questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Tyson. So in just a few moments, we will begin our question and answer session. Today, we will be taking your questions over the WebEx audio. A few reminders, we are allowing one question per participant. To queue up for questions, you can use the raise hand icon that is located next to your name and also at the bottom center of your screen. That will prompt us to open your line, and then you'll need to unmute yourself to ask your question. But before we get into the Q&A, I would like to invite you all to share your thoughts about today's webinar through an evaluation survey. Your feedback, as you just heard, helps us design future training sessions. It helps us better design the site for you, and it also lets us know how we can improve our webinars. So I'll be sending the link to the evaluation in the chat now. Please take a moment to fill that out, perhaps as you listen to the Q&A. And then if you have questions remaining after our session concludes, please feel free to reach out to one of the 2 email inboxes that are listed here. If you are a member of the public, you can reach out to us to the Center for Enterprise Dissemination at census.data@census.gov, and members of the media can contact the Public Information Office at PIO@census.gov. Okay. So I've sent out the evaluation link. It's in the chat now. And with that, let's go ahead and open it up and see what questions you all have. Okay, we will take our first question from Deborah. Deborah, make sure that you unmute your line so that we can hear you. Okay, we'll give you just another couple of minutes. Let's move on to Brenna. Can we take the question from Brenna? Brenna, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, hi there.
Oh, hi. Hi, thank you. I had put this question in the Q&A, and it hadn't been addressed, but I was just curious as to whether data.census.gov was a good platform for also being able to export shapefile data and like administrative boundaries with tabular data, or whether that like shapefile data has to be found elsewhere and then combined after the fact in whatever software we're using.
Yes, thank you for your question. So we do not currently have the functionality to download shapefiles directly from our site on data.census.gov. So you would want to continue to get those. We have the Tiger line through our geography product on census.gov, where you can download those and then download the data from data.census.gov. There is a FAQ that I would direct you to if you'd like to match up the GeoID between the shapefiles and the Tiger line files. I'm not going to navigate to it directly, but will encourage you to click the help button on the landing page of data.census.gov in order to access FAQ that can walk you through that process. You're also welcome to email us in if that's of interest to you.
Thank you so much for your question. Okay, let's try to open Deborah's line again. Deborah, once we unmute you from our side, you'll need to unmute on your side so we can hear you. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next question from Gregory. Can we unmute Gregory's line, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes, hi there.
Hi, thanks very much. Do the tables provide an ability to look at household data, like the number of households, as opposed to the population?
Yes, we do have information on households. When you go to the topics of the advanced search on data.census.gov, you'll actually see a housing category and many subcategories within housing. So we have all types of information for total number of housing, owner versus rented housing, information about the units themselves, like number of bedrooms or year structures were built, as well as home values and rent in comparison to home values, just to name, or rent in comparison to income, just to name a few of the housing topics that we offer.
So that was advanced search under topics?
Yep, topics and housing on the advanced search filter. So you'll see that as a good starting point for you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great, thank you so much for your question. I think Deborah's line is open now. Perhaps, Deborah, can we try one more time?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, hi there.
Hi, great presentation. My question is about how to cite these different tables when you're using different filters and selections when you're writing grants and things like that. What's a typical citation look like?
Yes, thank you for your question. If the best information that we have is the source information that's available sometimes in the notes. It also can be available in the first Excel. We would generally encourage you to cite the year, the survey program name, such as American Community Survey, the product, whether it's 1 or 5 year, as well as the table ID. We don't currently have like a specific standard or like a source this or cite this button. We have heard that from users before. That may hit on what you're getting at. But in the meantime, we would recommend citing, again, the year, survey program name, and the table ID.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much for your question. Let's go ahead and open up Rick's line. Hi, Rick, can you hear us?
And if memory serves me, there are probably state legislative districts. Are those, do they still use the 2020 districts, or have they been updated for the redistricting that was applied to the 2022 elections?
Yes, thank you for your question. Each vintage of each survey and program are tabulated against a specific boundary of any geography to include state legislative districts. If you write us in, we could direct you to the technical documentation page, specifically if you know what data set you're working with, whether it's the Decennial Census or American Community Survey, that would be helpful as well. And there's specifically a web page, for instance, for ACS where you can find the exact vintage of geography boundary that year is applied to.
Great, thank you so much for your question, Rick. Let's go ahead and open up Bill's line. Can we open up Bill, please?
You know, what would be really useful to, for me is that the way you flatten that table, like you said, to make it more machine readable. And I missed that step. I don't know if you can point that out really quick. You know,
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Let me just pull up the table view. It's the zip button.
Okay.
At the top of the table, it's called zip. That's going to take you down the right pathway that you need to go. If you also see the word download, occasionally you'll see a download button or this download. Zip and download are going to be the file output that you need.
That's great. Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
And thank you for your question. Next question will come from Mabel. Can we open up Mabel's line, please? Can you hear us?
Can you all hear me?
Yes, hi there.
Oh, okay, hi. Thank you so much for the presentation. So I have a question in the chat, but it had not been answered, and I just wanted to clarify it. So it's more of a data-based question. I think I've realized that most of the data from census, like usually has like, let's say like one of them had, let's say 2,308 under the estimate column, and then under the percentage, it has the same number. And I'm a bit confused, like why that is happening. Like, why isn't it an actual percentage in some cases? I'm not sure if my question makes sense.
It does make sense. Thank you
Okay.
for your question. So here, as just an example, the profile I have pulled up, the very first row, the estimate is a number and the percent is a total number. It's just meant to give you more clarity about what these percentages refer to. So you
Okay.
know that these percentages are referring to the number at the top. Without that context, sometimes it's less clear what these percentages, what the denominator is for the percentages. So they're meant to give you clarity for that reason.
Got you. But for presentation purposes, we can just put 100% if you want it to be, like if I'm doing something myself, correct?
Right, yep.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Thank you so much for your question. We have 3 more in the queue. Our next question comes from Sandra. Sandra, make sure that you are unmuted on your end.
Can you hear me?
Yes, hi there.
Hi. Greetings and blessings from Puerto Rico. I'm in the southwest part of Puerto Rico. And I participated in the 2010 census. And one of the things that, concern me is that I hope the census is not using the satellite and drones, because there was a lot of unreliability collecting the data, because we have so many rural areas and so many hidden places that are not really, you know, reachable by road and stuff like that, in the mountains, in the rural areas mainly. But anyway, when it comes to the geography, I'm quite interested in the southwest area, mainly because we have had, with the hurricanes and the earthquakes, we have had so many losses, and especially with people and households and structures and stuff like that. And I wanted to ask Tyson, or whoever. I mean, when I go to the geography area links, is that where I'm going to be able to find?
Yes, thank you for your question. So there certainly are many sub-state or state equivalent, in the case of Puerto Rico, geography. So your, for instance, off the top of my head, your municipalities,
Exactly.
and many others. I can't remember the specific names, but your county equivalents, your city equivalents, your census tracts, those are all still available geographies, just like I was showing today, the equivalents of those in Puerto Rico as well. They're accessible to access data. And if you're having any issues finding a specific geography, we would encourage you to write in. But you can certainly use the same strategies in general that we showed for other areas of the country for Puerto Rico geographies as well. And now, did we lose Deb? Are you speaking, Deb?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I apologize. So we have two more questions. Our next question comes from Karen. Karen, can you hear us?
Regarding national origin, specific national origin, I noticed that you have it grouped in like Asian. For example, take Asian. You have it grouped in like an Asian category. Is it a way to find out that specific data for instance, Chinese, Korean, or Vietnamese?
Yes, thank you for your question. So I missed a little bit of the front end of the question, but I can say that, yes, we have Asian and detailed Asian categories that you mentioned, such as Chinese, Korean, etc., as both a race, if someone identifies their race according to that. And then also, I heard you say national origin. We do have information on country of birth. If someone was born in one of those countries and now lives in the United States, you can access data by country of birth for those detailed categories as well, such as China, Korea, etc. Those on a high level, I can point you to where you would start in the filter panel and then invite you to email us. That is some of the more complex data that we have. So for race and ethnicity under topics, you would see race and ethnicity. That's going to take you down the pathway to get to Asian and some of the detailed categories. And then under populations and people in the filter panel for topics, you'll be able to see native and foreign born, you can start drilling into those folders in order to get to Asia or China as examples. And again, more than happy to help walk you through that step by step by shooting us an email.
Thank you for your question. And our last question comes from Lynn. Lynn, can you hear us?
For example, census tracts that match the GeoID in the tract shape files so that the data can be joined to the shape file.
Hi, thank you. So I know this version of this question has come up before, so I'm actually going to take just one moment and navigate to the FAQ, and perhaps if my colleague Maria is able to while we're on the call. If not, you can also email us and we can shoot you the direct link. There is a specific FAQ, how can I match the GeoID from the Tiger line shapefiles to the GeoID from data.census.gov download. I did miss the first part if your question was a question or just feedback, but assuming it's a question, if you go to this FAQ, there are additional characters at the beginning of the GeoID in the data.census.gov downloads compared to what you would see in the shapefile. So as an example, the state code for Alabama in the shapefile is simply 01, the FIPS code. In our GeoID data.census.gov downloads, there are additional characters in front, and including US. Those characters do all have meaning in terms of from a geography standpoint, and then 01 at the end. So if you go to this FAQ and use the formula here, that's what we recommend in the meantime. And then we would, yes, consider your feedback of potentially adding an additional column that's an exact match or something to that effect. Thank you for asking.
Thank you so much, Tyson. We have no more questions in the queue.
Great. So as we wrap up, I know we're over on time. Just want to say really quickly, on the landing page of data.census.gov, there is a help button that will take you to our educational resources. That allows you to access recorded webinars, short videos, answers to FAQs, release notes. We also have workshops. If you want to take a deep dive into using the site and get hands-on practice, we have 3-hour workshops, basics, advanced, and mapping for data.census.gov, where you'll get your questions answered, opportunity to practice in real time with an instructor. And in addition to that, we wanted to showcase the census.gov/academy. It's the centralized training hub for the Census Bureau. So if you have interest in learning about any topic or tool, not just data.census.gov, we would encourage you to visit census.gov Academy to learn more. These folks also host the training that you've attended today. And if you'd like to request a local training, you can email the contact information at the bottom, census.askdata@census.gov or 1-844-ASK-DATA. Thank you again so much for tuning into the webinar today, and we hope to see you again in the future.